version.
I know. It's better. So,
Oh my God.
all right, guys, we're back. I actually was granted permission to switch back to the old version before Live Producer. So let's hope this works because we love the old version, Facebook. Okay, quickly getting back to similar story to trail riding and hitting hornets. It was a hornet's nest because they burrow into the ground. It was my dad and me, and Dad was riding Sundance. This is back in probably 2008, you guys, so 12 years ago. We just put Smokey down the other month at 21. And I'd had him for a few years. He's by far the toughest horse I'd ever worked with to this day. All three of my horses, the Trinity as I call them, Legend, Sundance, and Smokey, have been the toughest. Hey, Sarah, great. And Dad and I were trail riding, and so this was huge for Smokey and me to be out on the trail. I had done a solid 2 years of rehabilitation work with him. Wow. Yeah, he was a bolter, a bucker. He was suicidal when he took off. He'd run you right into anything and through anything. Fences. I mean, I almost had my leg decapitated on a tailgate of a truck because he. Not good. Smokey was would go catatonic, and I didn't understand what catatonic was. So the self-preservation mode of freezing, when that was his first choice because he was such an amazing horse. Yeah. You know him. Yeah. You knew him. Yeah. He wasn't a passive or submissive horse, but he was such a pleaser. His genetics. His father was a top reining horse, national top reining horse in the area. Well, in the national, in the country. And we were living in Maryland at the time. And so when I bought Smokey, knowing how messed up, knowing enough that he was pretty messed up, I got a good background on him. But anyway, so I was really amazed at this experience, because how many of you have been riding and you get, I call them the big bomber flies, the big black flies that are like the size of your thumb that love to go to the horse's kidneys. And you know, and so many people say my horse just started bucking and bucking and took off, and off I went and I got hurt. And like I said, I've been working for a couple of years diligently, like every day with this horse. It wasn't intense training every day, but there's always something. It was like opening Pandora's box with Smokey. Just when you thought you were getting ahead, something would trigger him. And it was always dangerous. You had to be really careful because I was so inexperienced to the depth of the catatonic state. And then as he came out of absolute shutting down and going deep within, that's when he would go into fight and flight. It was really bad. And he was a pullback. You couldn't tie him. I can't tell you how many times he broke halters, lead ropes. So yeah, it took me a long time to ride him. He busted me up the first time, which was a good learning experience. So you can thank him for my pre-flight. So here we are, finally out, trailered off the property, out on a great trail. Got to that point where we had developed enough that I could take him off the property, right off my farm. Now, you know, I was able to trailer him and not have him kill himself in the trailer. So my dad loved my father. My father's gone too. And so we went out on this trail ride, and yep, we hit through the woods. We hit obviously a beehive on the ground, and Dad was behind me, and probably about 20 or 30 feet, because we were meandering through the woods. It was a hot spring summer day, and we were in full gear. We had our Western saddles on and our lunches and our saddle bags and water and all that. And we were out for hours. So Dad saw the whole thing happen, and I might have been bareback. Actually, I was bareback. Sorry, Dad was in the Western saddle because I had to get back on. So, yep, they swarm up, and what does Smokey do? He stands still. He absolutely stops. And I didn't know what was going on and why he wouldn't go forward, but he just stops. And he's kicking at his belly with his underfoot and swishing and trying to get his nose back there. And he keeps hitting my leg. He keeps hitting my leg, which is one of the greatest things that organically happens in my way of training you and your horse, is how much conversation you can have. So he keeps kicking at the flies, swishing them. He won't move his feet.
If you're open to it.
If you're open to it. And he keeps touching my leg, trying to tell me either get off or, you know, it was get off. And I'm looking around because I'm like, oh, is there a big bomber on your butt? That's kind of our conversation with all my horses is you're trying to get, oh, what's going on? Then I see the bees. He waited till I got off.
Yeah.
I literally pulled the bridle off of his head. He was free now. I just let him go. And he took off.
That's
and
incredible.
He waited for me right up 50 feet. And then I broke off a branch, got up to him, and just was going nuts because he ran and they ran with him. So I'm going to cry, guys.
They run.
Wait, you're missing the point.
I know.
He took the bees from me.
I know. Oh, God.
He took the bees away from me. That's the point you're missing. And Dad was far enough away that he knew, obviously stopped with Sundance. He watched the whole thing. That's what my dad and I got to share all the time. Dad, of course, got it. He took the bees away. That's why I broke off the branch so I could catch up to them and beat them off. Now, we did carry all sorts of fly spray and SWAT and stuff in the trailer, and I even had a little bit of SWAT in my bag, and I was just going nuts. And Smokey was standing there, bridleless, letting me just keep going, and I'm, hitting. Dad's got all this stuff in his, he had a beautiful old saddlebag, leather saddlebag. So yeah, that's what I want to tell you too, though, how deep that is.
Yeah.
That's how amazingly magical it is and can become and can always be there.
Did you get stung?
No, I never got stung. Thank you for that.
Stung?
I never, no. Well, he was black and a little sweaty, and flies and bees love black horses.
They follow.
They follow
they
them.
Definitely follow.
No, and he took the bee stings. He was so swollen up, you guys, under his sheath, his privates.
Oh my gosh. Poor fella.
You guys that know Smokey, he's in most of my videos, and you that have met him
remarkable.
And or ridden him, you know how much he loved me. I'm not trying to be a weirdo about this. The love that horse had for me, it was, I mean, I saved him from so much. I was his 7th owner when he was turning 5. Right. And, he was unrideable. He was so messed up. They had gotten so greedy with his bloodlines and his amazing work ethic and personality, and people just abused the hell out of him through ignorance and purposefully.
And he was a super strong, stubborn, willful, smart horse, which makes it, everything gets the elevation of
and
everything.
Intelligent. Yes. Yeah, really, really, what a story. So it's hard to put into words, because there's so many ways to explain the differences, and it is such a mind shift that has to happen, in a heart shift. Like you said, your heart has to be open to wanting this and believing that there's more. There's so much more to your horsemanship and your relationship. And I love performance. I don't like to show, and because I don't believe in the politics of showing, because it always compromises the horse. And you have to ride with bits, most of them, and a saddle. And I don't ride with bits, and I don't train with bits, and I rarely ride with a saddle these days. So but I loved the challenge and the nuances of training and developing and evolving, and of course the movement. I'm all about the biomechanics and your horse moving correctly so that they are sound, because you guys, you have to realize, for those of you that don't, horses in the wild don't run around. They hardly exert themselves. And it's the hardest thing for us as horse owners, whatever you do with your horse, whether you show or trail ride, to understand that your horse has to be developed as an athlete to be able to handle the movement and the amount of time that we want to ride them. So many people go, I only have a day or 2 a week, and I just jump on my horse and go out for 3 or 5 hours. And then I'm like, well, show me a picture of your horse or a video. And 99% of our horses aren't moving correctly, and they're not symmetrical, and they're hollow, and the movement there's so much more we can do. And it does take time. I'm still on, hopefully. It does take time to develop this. And to me, if you really love the horse and you honor them, then you'll take the time it takes to really get to know them, understand them, and develop.
Agreed. And
yeah,
I would add, I think it comes back to a lot of self-respect, because all the things that you just said are true of our own selves too. So if you are taking care of yourself,
yeah.
you know, do you have asymmetries? I mean, muscle imbalance all over the place.
Do you pay attention to that?
Do you take a
Do you
self-care
take care of yourself
day?
holistically?
I just did my toenails.
Yeah, and the self-care day.
It was a good day.
That is a good.
But I didn't have
is.
anything else. It was, you know, it was time, kind of. It sounds silly, but
Not to
it's
get
true.
off subject, but this is part of the self-care. You know, the epidemic that we're going through, and Sabrina have done quite a few podcasts about this in different, highlighting different aspects of what's happened to us worldwide. But as a human race, there are so many positives. I mean, the whole thing about self-care, nobody ever takes the time for themselves anymore. You know, we live in such a society and a culture, fast-paced, quick. It's so much seduction out there with marketing and advertising, you know, quick fix.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have time. So the more time you don't have, I've got the quickest fix for you.
Right.
And what happened to backing off and making more time?
No.
No. And I'm in a profession where I do. You know, that's what this whole training methodology is about. It changes. You have to be prepared to make a huge lifestyle change for it to really work, mentally, emotionally, and the physical time aspect of it.
100%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I mean, no is an empowering word. I have a friend who doesn't. She says no in November. If you want to engage her in November, the answer is no. And it's freeing, because it means that you free up space, and that's creative space or self-care space or time to sit with your horse and do nothing, because that's what the day called for, or the 2 hours or whatever. And it's the things that I've eliminated from my life, things and events and people too, weren't a good fit. And I don't miss them, any of those things. I don't miss things.
We had a discussion of, let's go to good fit. We had a discussion about this on one of our podcasts. It might have been with the Mastery membership. Good fit, it's like, you know, the saying, trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. How many of us have lives like that, with people in our lives that don't bring us value? What is value in your life? And how do you choose, or do you not even choose, a lifestyle that supports your personal inner values? And what fits into your life? Do you find yourself always fitting into everyone else's life and everyone else's schedule? What about your schedule? Do you have a personal schedule?
That's a big deal. And it doesn't mean that the other person or the job or the house or the city or the method, like say you've come from a different training method, or there's an instructor, a riding instructor you really like, but now you're starting to evolve and you don't like some of the things that are coming out of his or her mouth. It's okay. It doesn't mean that other person or city or house is bad. It just means that
you've outgrown
it, and it's not right for you anymore.
But often my audience, it's bad.
Often it's bad.
Often it's bad.
Often it means you have to do some personal growth. And though that might be painful, it's rewarding. It feels good.
It's always painful in the beginning, isn't it? When we're growing and changing.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
It's hard.
Very.
It's hard to let go of the old and embrace the new. And the new is scary. What if the new doesn't work?
Yeah, exactly.
What if the new is a lie? What if the new is a lie?
Oh yeah, I think about that too. Like I'm still trying to change and come out.
You've grown you've grown so much.
Yeah.
So mentally wise, I feel like I have.
But doesn't it get easier?
Way
it
easier.
Gets easier.
It does. No, it absolutely
we all hit plateaus, and whether you're learning something or growing, you just hit a place where you might just need to rest for a while,
Absolutely.
take a pause, or everything catches up and it's really going well for you. And then you're like, okay, because I've been challenging myself so much, I'm ready for that next challenge. And then you go through it. You go through it all over again, but it gets easier.
Much easier.
It really does, because you've consciously evolved and you look at things differently. And that changes everything.
It changes everything, and
That's so
I think
true.
it's growth that allows you to be more aligned with who your true self is. And so when you're operating as your true self by eliminating people or jobs or methods or
that
whatever,
hold you back or keep you from that.
It shows up because the horses are so sensitive
And so
that they're like
attuned and tuned in.
You know how they'll go to one person rather than the other?
Well, when you came into the barn before we started this, and you and I came out and we started talking, and you were emotional, and Zor just put his head over and just, here's Zor trying to hug you and love on you. And I'm his mama, damn it. Should have been all about me.
He gave me some biggie loving, big old
big
head.
lips, big lip loving.
Big lips, big head.
Take your whole neck in his mouth.
I know.
He's so big and gentle.
He's so sweet, though.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they know.
But they sense the alignment, I think.
The authenticity, the truth. Horses. That's why horses do so well with children and adults that have either emotional, physical, or mental handicaps, because they don't have an agenda. They don't have that old cognitive, thanks boys, those were our sons, Sabrina and me. They love being a part of this. This is so, well, for Mason, he loves this stuff, but dang it.
I don't know, Preston.
Preston doesn't care, but Mason finds it so interesting, and yet he's so damn loud. But anyway, the horses are so, people ask me all the time, why are horses so careful and safe around children and adults with handicaps? And it's because they always come from a place of truth, honesty, innocence, children, and authenticity. And when you have a mental handicap, not always an emotional, but especially head trauma, and horses with people with head trauma, you guys, you ain't thinking about what happened yesterday or what's going to happen tomorrow. You're not busy. You're present. And that's always the toughest word for everyone, I think, to really grasp. We all think we get what it means to be present and in the moment. Everybody, or we all want to be in the moment.
Right.
But you hear what we're talking about. I mean, before kids hit puberty, which I call the passage to adulthood, and it sucks because that's when you become self-aware and self-conscious. And before we do, we are so innocent.
Yeah.
We are so innocent and honest and trusting.
Right.
And authentic, and then everything starts to shift. It's like the Adam and Eve apple.
Right.
All of a sudden we wake up and it's not always good. It kind of sucks. It really sucks. And depending on what society you live in, or culture, or sex that you are, or race, I mean, there's so many ways that it cannot be so nice. But yeah, I mean, I get this question all the time. I've given it a lot of thought, and this is what I've come to know and believe. And so as an adult, how do we get back to that place? How do we get back to that place where our horses want to be with us, take care of us, consider us, revere us, honor us?
Right. Well, safety, right? They have to feel safe. They have to be able to feel like they can.
But what is safety?
Express their.
What is safety to a horse? What do you mean the horse has to feel safe? Go on. What does that mean?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, they have to have, it's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. They have to know that they've got food, shelter, and safety from predators.
No and yes.
Right?
No, that's the old dogma. No.
Well,
That's bullshit. So if you're going to read all the bullshit out there about natural horsemanship and the hierarchy of needs, let's get some things straight. Domesticated horses and wild horses, obviously they're horses, but they are also very different. And they're different because of their environmental surroundings and what influences them. So safety, I know for a fact, with horses is an emotional safety, no matter what kind of horse it is, wild, domesticated, breed, age. It's an emotional safety. In a lot of our general horsemanship, and it's out there in all your books and training, horses feel safe in numbers. And they do, but in the wild they do, because we know for a fact. What?
Oh, I was just connecting that. So was one.
Okay, what else is new? They know we always go over it. They know for a fact that.
We're barely into topic one.
I know. We go for hours. They know for a fact that it's safety in numbers. And what they'll do with the young in the wild is they'll put the young, and not the old, sorry, it's survival of the strongest, not the weakest. They'll put the young in the middle of the circle, okay? And they'll protect them. So it is safety in numbers. An ostracized horse or horse that's left out can get in a lot of trouble with the predator. Mm-hmm. And there is some documentary, and I certainly have found the videos and shared them before, of like mares giving birth and then rogue stallions coming up trying to mate with her when she has a 3-hour-old foal. And who comes to save the mare and the foal while she's defending the foal and herself? Other mares. So there is safety in numbers. But our domesticated horses, unfortunately, live by themselves most of the time. And even when they do live in a herd, most of the herds are not socially healthy. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, that's a whole nother topic.
Yep. I will get to that. I know. So the safety thing is, that's why we have so many berserk and ballistic nut job horses, so to speak. We've created that because of a lack of emotional agility and a lack of emotional stability. I could go on and on and on about the whole psychology of this because I've done so many articles myself. I've written them, published them, and I have researched the hell out of this. And there's so much more to talk about. So if you're all going, what do you mean my horse needs to feel emotionally safe? Well, you really need to learn horses and what motivates horses, because relationship is number one. You really need to know the real psychology and nature of horses, which it's all propaganda out there. Nobody really talks about it but me. So they need to feel emotionally safe for them to, anybody just like us, to open up and to receive. And that means not be defensive, would be the opposite. And the horse needs that first for them to really, for things to change and shift. But so much more has to happen for the horse to consider us as one of their family members and to take care of us. So let's talk about the accident that happened before Jupe died with you and how my horses took care of you as a family member.
Sure.
You're going to talk about this anyway.
Yeah, sure.
So we had a little too much drink, which we like to do around here.
We had gone out to dinner, Italian, delicious.
Yum, yum.
Pasta, red wine.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And then it was a really beautiful early spring night here, which is evening.
And the sunsets are over the Gulf, so it's just beautiful.
And Jupe was doing better, and I was going to be leaving, heading back north. Yeah. After having spent significant time here. And so the idea was to go and hang out in the big field with the horses and maybe just
jump on a couple of them.
And them.
And so with my horses, I have a real easy little outdoor, not cross-country course in my 10-acre pasture, but a little hunt course, just logs, trees, 2-3 feet, not even 3 feet, 1 to 2 feet. And we jump on those and jump on our horses, or we go to the fence, and my horses are bridleless. There's nothing on them. Sometimes we carry a neck rope, but they just come and get you. And the more intoxicated you are, the more they love being with you. Totally take care of your butt, you guys. So I was kind of pushing Rebecca's buttons.
True.
And Rebecca has shifted tremendously since you've been away. And at that point, when you were still here, you still were very naive about a lot of things about your horse and about horses in general. And horses are new to you. I mean, you've just had been around horses the last 4 years.
Right.
And so I'm like, oh yeah, well, I can just jump on any one of my horses and they're going to take care of me. And I got no saddle and no bridle.
Right.
And you really think your horse cares about you right now? He's still so messed up. Jupe came here he almost died for a bone infection. He had ulcers. He was grotesquely underweight. Rebecca was traveling a lot for work, so she didn't realize this till it was too late, and then she shipped him to me. So he not only was going through physical rehabilitation, obviously, he was going through emotional, mental, and he had some huge triggers. You got him he was in a kill pen.
Right.
when you got him. So
Right.
he was really
Right.
emotionally messed
The
up.
reason he was here was to restart.
Yeah, to restart
And then
him
we
and
had a
rehabilitate
major-
him all the way around. Then just the bone
major
infection ended
trouble.
up taking his
Yeah.
life. But at that point, I really wanted to impress upon her that there was still so much more you needed with your horse for you to really be safe.
Right. And I've had spent a lot of time with him.
But that wasn't enough.
It wasn't
Isn't
enough.
just about time.
And I'm not a professional horse trainer. I'm
It
a
doesn't-
climbing arborist. I don't do that.
I know.
So, and I had, knock on wood, up to that point he had taken care of me in several spots where I was like, if I didn't have decent balance. Also, I was very stubborn, so I was riding in the bareback pad, which was new to him. And so yeah, I had overconfidence, for sure. And he was scared, in hindsight. Jupe was scared out of his mind because all the horses were around and I was on the log and he knew I was going to get on, and I just had the rope halter, and I don't think we had any bareback pads.
Just bareback.
Just the rope. It was just rope halter and rope.
And Rebecca was learning her seat. Her seat is so much better and beautiful, but she was learning her seat bareback, and so that really freaked Jupe out, like it will a lot of horses.
He never did no
so
pad at
when
all.
you
He
would
didn't
lose
like
your
that.
balance and you first got on him and you were kind of figuring out your balance,
Yeah,
he was like, oh my God.
Yeah,
he was tight. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, it was all of 10 feet maybe, or 15 feet. I didn't go very far.
And so what happened is we've got most of my horses behind and around us, and Jupe is already a bit overwhelmed and now feeling the pressure of Rebecca getting on. What are you going to do? And oh my God, your balance. And he was overwhelmed, overfaced with the whole experience. And he took off, but he took off like at a trot, which is not a bolt, but it was you're trying to learn your balance. And so it was a bouncy trot. And I think he humped up. He did a little buck or something.
We were happy.
We were drinking.
And so my awareness was down a couple notches too.
And so maybe 10 or 15 feet from me and the horses, you fell.
Mm-hmm. And I fell off, and
Jupe kept going.
He kept going. I kind of got to his side, and then I finished falling off. So it wasn't. And he's only 14.3. He's not a huge horse.
Yeah, and it wasn't a big bolt, but it was just enough with an unbalanced seat. And so
I landed on my ass.
Yeah, 20 plus feet from me and the horses. And what happens as you're on the ground?
So I'm on the ground in
Jupe's gone.
Jupe is gone in deep sand, which was good because I landed on my low back. And it's those moments where you're hurting and you're hurting and you're waiting 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. How badly am I hurt?
Yeah.
Like, here we go, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I just had pain going through my low back, above my sacrum, so that it were in the general area of my sacrum, not on my coccyx. Thank goodness I didn't land directly on my butt bone. And I had been riding Billy, your off-track thoroughbred, and developing a relationship with him, and some trust,
in your
and my
bareback seat,
and so I remember it's sunset. Jupe is off to sort of like 10 o'clock behind me, and he turns back, but he's still uptight and looking like, oops, I did something very wrong, but I'm not going back there. And all of the other horses, at least 6 or 8 horses, I remember being in the sand. And Billy was right here, and he had all the horses had their heads down about, an inch off the ground. And they were in a semicircle around me.
Yep.
And I'm lying on my back, having this pain go through and just holding that and wondering.
And they were holding the space for you as I was coming towards you. Yep. And they were all there.
And I remember, Zor, I just remember all the horses, and I wish I had taken a picture of that because it was pretty powerful.
Yeah, well, you're in all that pain. We're really going to think about that.
I really need my camera right now. It was too bad because that was a really powerful picture, actually, because all of them were standing there, and all of them had their heads down. Like, we feel you.
Can you go talk to them real quick while I'm on here, the boys, and tell them? I'll tell you right now, you guys, you're either in or out. I don't want to hear that door one more time. Got it, Mace? And we're live. That's how I'm going to handle that. So,
but my feeling was that they were just being there while I went through all those emotions.
They were holding the space for you.
Yes, they were holding the space. And I mean,
how many of you guys out there have been here with me and my horses, and you know what you've been in that, not in Rebecca's situation, but you have been developing and you've witnessed it personally. I mean, it's just beautiful to have, it's so magical to experience horses like that and to feel that safe, even when you know something is scaring them. Like they do with their own babies, their own foals. They will consider the baby. They don't leave the baby and run away. They will consider you and do like Smokey did and Mario did. They'll do whatever they can to take care of you. You come first. I think that's just, nobody talks about horses like that, you know? And I'm not
anthropomorphizing.
Oh, I never say that right. I'm not projecting or transferring my feelings onto the horses. I mean, it's real.
Yeah, none of, they were all free to go. They could have been eating.
How many of your horses would have taken off with the horse that ran? They just would have followed that horse and left your ass, you know, out on the trail, anywhere. I mean, believe me, I've been there. I remember when Legend was the worst horse I've ever ridden on a trail, and he then became my bridleless trail riding horse. I mean, Legend used to be berserk on the trail. He would have left me in a heartbeat. I know, I've been to that extreme.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, I know, I mean, I remember my late, thank God I had such an amazing relationship with my late horse that became this method, because I've been there, you guys. Just know that it can change. And it can change, but it is a lot of development. It is a lot of personal development and a lot of development with your horse, especially to get them thinking more. You know, it's like brain games. You got to exercise that left brain.
Yeah.
Not to mention, you've got to develop that depth of relationship and bond where they revere you as one of their own family members. And so often we don't have that opportunity because our horses are kept somewhere else. And I understand that, but it doesn't mean you can't try, because a lot of my students don't have their horses in their backyard, and they are making phenomenal progress. Hi, Barb, and Sarah was just on here. I know Sarah knows I always have trouble with the internet, but it's really not the internet. It's Facebook. I actually have a 2 p.m., so I have to go soon, call with Facebook personally. So, yep. So I do have to go, you guys. Yeah, this is a big issue. So I don't know if my operating system, and this is a really powerful laptop that I got for video editing, so there should be no issue, but I don't know what's going on. I think that's as far as we're going to get with 1 out of 10 or 8 wonderful topics.
It's very rich. You know, the method is very rich. Layered and deep, and so we could talk.
And rewarding. And fulfilling on so many levels.
Yeah.
Well, you're here all week. Today's Wednesday, and tomorrow is going to be a nice rainy day. So while we may not have internet tomorrow, like we'd like, I'm here. If we can at least record on the podcast. I'd love to go live.
Sure.
And but more than anything, we can just record the podcast.
Yeah. I'm definitely do that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, since we're scheduled for every Wednesday with the Dow. All right, does anybody have any quick questions? Because this really is a Q&A. It's not, we only have 8 people on. No,
we didn't have any questions.
Okay, well, all right, thank you. Well, thank you, everyone. You can always email me. That's the best way to get me. Don't message me. I hardly ever check those. Maybe once a week. I just forget. There's too much going on. Email me with any questions. Thank you, Rebecca.
You're welcome.
No, girl.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
It's good to be here. Yep.
It's great to have you, and Sabrina,
and
my lovely co-host. Thank you.
Of course.
And then you guys may always be one with your horse, and we'll see you next week. Yep, next week. This time next week. And again, Rebecca and I are going to continue, not today, but hopefully tomorrow, continue doing the audio podcast. And we'll record those and put those up there.
Sounds good.
But you're flying, or you're
Cool.
driving out on Friday, yeah.
Driving on
Or
Friday.
Saturday.
Or Saturday.
Yeah. I know. All right. Well, thank you guys. Have a great day. And sorry about all the mess up, the technical issues. We'll hopefully get those resolved sooner than later. All right. Bye. Have a great day.